You will hear of wars and rumors of wars, but see to it that you are not alarmed. Such things must happen, but the end is still to come. Nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. There will be famines and earthquakes in various places. All these are the beginning of birth pains. Then you will be handed over to be persecuted and put to death, and you will be hated by all nations because of me.
What you are about to hear is real. The prophets wrote of a time when the signs of the end would be seen. This is where Bible prophecy and current events collide. This is Unsealed.
Yes, indeed, friends. This is Unsealed. Welcome back. It is November 16th, 2023. Very interesting times, friends, that we are in. Bless the Lord. I hope I am your brother in Christ. That's the most important thing. No matter what we talk about on this podcast or anything else we do in our walk, if we're not saved, if we're not born again and our brothers and sisters in Christ, then it means nothing. But what we talk about here, as interesting as it may be, become very uninteresting if we have to face our God and pay for our own sins. Thank you. Before I even ask, people are sharing this video. Please do that right now on your own channels. Very appreciated. And we are brought to you, of course, by your support alone. If this blesses you, if you learned something today, hopefully you will, please return the favor. Give what you can. wingsoftheeagle.com/give. And as you see at the bottom of the screen, if you're watching, if you're listening, I'm going to tell you what it says at the bottom of the screen. If you are a Christian who has seen a UFO or other unexplainable thing, please, I want to can be your confidant in that, or just so you can tell somebody, go fill out the form at unsealedpodcast.com. At the bottom of the page, you will see a form to submit, and obviously it's secure and private, and just know that someone cares. A Christian, happens to be a pastor, whatever, you have a brother who will listen to you and catalog, and believe you. Okay. Friends, I want you to participate in this as well, but I do have a couple of things that you probably have no idea is happening, because you really have to stay on top of it to know, or be part of this sub culture. The UFO people, who, God bless them, most of them are not saved. Okay, they're just not. They're humanists, they're New Agers, they're atheists. And their religion basically is trying to prove that aliens are real. And it's sad. It's sad. But those of us who are saved by the blood of Jesus and who do know that something bizarre is happening, and more than we're being told by our respective governments, that's what we do this podcast for. So here's some information you probably did not know. I'm going to give you a couple of facts and figures. I do want your interaction here, so please, if you're on YouTube, Facebook, or the End Time Church app, please just go ahead and type it right in as you're thinking it, and we'll get to everything I promised before we leave the air. Okay. Here's the info. We now have a image, a very poor image, but proof of what you would call a UAP or UFO being shot down or shot at in Syria in December 14th, 2021. You can go find it if you want. The Royal Air Force, the British Air Force, shot at this thing. And they say they hit it, apparently, but there's no recovery that we know of because it was in a war zone. It was over Syria, and it was just deemed to be a threatening object. In the media reports that were made directly after, you see the term that the military instructed them to use, which is hostile terrorist drone. Okay, whatever. But internally, apparently, they know it was a UAP. It was not a human device. There was no terrorist was using it. No other country was using it. But it was threatening the coalition force. In other words, the Americans, the British, French, whoever else was on the ground there. That really happened. And that was recently, less than 2 years ago. It's documented now. You probably didn't know that. What you probably did know a little bit about, and you probably maybe have forgotten it by now because so many things happened in the world. Back in February of this year, we had a spat of UFO incidents over America. Do you remember? And one happened to be a giant Chinese spy balloon that happened to be loitering over our nuclear sites. Sure, it's just a coincidence. Anyways, we shot that guy down, remember? By the time it got over the Atlantic Ocean, finally, after gathering all the data or whatever, we shot it down. That was on February 4th, right? Remember, we tracked it for a couple of days, and people were seeing it, and like, what the heck is this, and what do we do about it, right? That was February 4th. What happened after, though, was even more interesting to me because a couple days later, off Alaska on February the 10th, we shot down a UAP because we couldn't identify it. Maybe we thought it was another Chinese balloon or something else. They wouldn't, respond. We couldn't get communication with it. It was entering our airspace, and we weren't having any of it probably because of the Chinese balloon thing. We shot it down. Details other than that, we don't have. The next day of February 11th, another one was flying over Canada. The U.S. Air Force was utilized, even though it was Canada, because NORAD. Anyway, we shot that one down. Follow-up data on that, we don't have. The next day, over Lake Huron, one of the Great Lakes, right, between U.S. and Canada there, we shot down another one. No details. No recovery. No info. I assume we shot them down because that was the message. That was the claim. We definitely shot at them. We know American Air Force was involved. We know we shot our weapons at them. And apparently we hit them. But that's all we know. They disappeared into thin air. We have no evidence of pickup. Okay. Apparently there's going to be more information about this coming out very shortly from Ross Coulthart. He's been on top of this kind of stuff for all year. And I think he's going to make some big major splashes here with this soon. And I don't know any details. I'm hearing that he's working on revealing stuff. Anyway, so we shot down 3 UFOs. That was just this year. So it shouldn't really surprise us that it's happening. I see a question here. Hang on. Hey, Mo Cool. Bless the Lord, brother. How was the UAP or UFO threatening American British coalition fighter jets in Syria in the year 2001? We don't know how, other than it was deemed hostile. I think mostly it was well, I don't know exactly why, but it was close. It was over our stuff, our people. Ground forces. Here's the thing, though, and what I'm about to tell you, it's not limited to that. One thing flying over somebody one time, and we decided to shoot. By the time you get to shooting, you've reached the last straw over many, many, many encounters. For example, look at the past, and this, I'm not going to talk about this today, but look at just the past, what is it, like 2 or 3 months with Iranian groups just attacking American bases all over Syria and Iraq with no consequence because it's a policy decision. It comes from the president or high up in the Department of Defense. Don't engage. Because they don't want escalation. That's true with Iran. That's true with Russia. That's true with apparently UFOs. Okay. Bond servant, the Alaska one, did they ever retrieve it? I recall a report saying it was too remote where it was shot down. Yeah, that's convenient, right? It was too remote. We have more military, and people who know the military at all know that we have a giant presence in Alaska. There is nothing that can hide from us in Alaska. Anchor Down says, can't believe I forgot all about this. Yeah, right? With all the other stuff in our brains, we kind of forgot all about it generally. Okay, now this is not even the best part, guys. Listen to this. Or most stunning part. If you know what the Five Eyes intelligence group is, that is the United States, Canada, Great Britain, Australia, and New Zealand. I believe. New Zealand's the fifth. What they call the Five Eyes. So they're supposed to share intelligence, anything that might impact any of them, multilaterally. They're supposed to share it all together. That's called the Five Eyes intelligence group. Here's what I'm learning about that. Five Eyes intelligence report highlights growing difficulty in monitoring surge of UAP across the Middle East. Surge, and it's difficult to monitor them. There have been multiple, I'll get back to the Middle East part in a second. There have been multiple, quote, drone swarm carrier incidents. Now, the word drone is off-putting because it makes it seem like it's a normal device that humans made. Don't be fooled by that. It's an accurate statement. We see it's a thing. It's small or smallish, and it's independently controlled, and it doesn't seem like there's a pilot. It seems like it's a machine that's being controlled by something. That's a drone. Now, it doesn't matter, who's controlling it is the question, and where does it come from, and where's it going? That's simple to, right? You should figure that out first before you assign motivation or whatever. Okay, so when I just read that to you, when you hear drone carrier incidents, these are aircraft carriers. I'm talking about American aircraft carriers in the ocean. It's not like you can launch a drone swarm from your house and go around a carrier in the ocean. It's not how it works. For example, there's one very highly documented one that I'm going to show you a picture of. July 15th, 2019, the USS Omaha is out in the seas. This was the west coast off of San Diego. Between 50 and 100 contacts were made over 3 days. What does that mean? 50 to 100 UAPs were swarming around the carrier group USS Omaha in 2019. From the sailors who were on those ships, one of the quotes is, their presence alone is a serious national security issue. Dozens of sailors confirmed their warships were swarmed by at least 100 UFOs. And that account, that claim contradicts the Navy's effort to dismiss them as quote unquote drones. this is the word game that we're playing now. I want to show you a photo of actual evidence of one of those moments on the Omaha. Sorry for our audio audience. And this is the cover of the video of today's broadcast as well. Let me try to clear that up here. There. A little better. In the corner, you can say radar confirms UFO swarm around Navy warship. What you're looking at is a still photograph of the radar of the USS Omaha with 9 UAPs surrounding it right there. That's live. That was a shot of one of those during while it was happening. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This is not cool. Okay, if you're in the Navy, if you're serious about security, about if you're a patriot, if you care about sailors and airmen and Army folks just trying to protect their country, you are seriously worried about this. It's not okay. And there is 0 chance that it's another nation. 0. Why? Other than the fact that they're right there doing whatever they want. It's pretty messed up. Nothing, no one, nobody would be able to fly anything around a U.S. aircraft carrier. Nobody. You will be shot down. The reason why these weren't, well, are twofold. Number one, they have no idea where they came from. It's not like they saw them approaching from the horizon. Oh, look at that. They're coming from China. They're coming from, I don't know, somewhere we can identify. They just appeared. And they did. One of them, there's video of that incident. One of them, they're tracking on camera and it disappears into the water. It goes to the ocean. Splashes down. They even say splash down. When they went away, when they finally decided to leave, they left no trail of where they went. The reason why they're, I think, other than we can't identify where they're coming or where they're going, every attempt to engage them with tracking, to target them with some kind of weapon fails. They can't do it, apparently. Or when, you know what I'm saying? So when they try to shoot and actually hit something, it's rare. And anyway, that is just one incident of multiple incidents at our aircraft carrier level. If you guys don't understand like the military doctrine of the United States, and the world, a U.S. carrier battle group is the most potent, intimidating show of force you can have. There is nothing stronger than that other than a nuclear warhead in the air. Nothing. You want to scare the pants off your enemies, you send a carrier right to their shoreline. That's what it's like a symbol of power. So if you want to flex, you go engage them. You can go engage a carrier. Well, they have many times, not just once. All right. Here's another revelation tied to this. CENTCOM has been dealing with this issue of swarming UAPs around their soldiers for 15 years. The past 15 years. This has been kept hush hush. What's CENTCOM? If you don't know, let me show you. Okay. See it? Sorry, again, audio people, you suffer. U.S. Central Command is the abbreviation. CENTCOM is the area of the world that is covered by the U.S. military in these nations. It's the Middle East. It's basically the Muslim world, outside of Africa, except for Egypt and Turkey. All right, there we go. Obviously, Israel's in there, Jordan, Syria, Iraq, Saudi Arabia, the whole Arabian Peninsula, Iran, all the stands, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Kazakhstan, etc. That's CENTCOM, okay? That area, those nations have been dealing with the issue of UAP swarms around their troops for 15 years and an alarming uptick in sightings since 2021. So again, just the last 2 years is causing frustration among Department of Defense due to lack of authority to deal with intrusions within the proximity of coalition forces. In other words, the actual military folks and the generals and the people responsible for defending their people and the coalition, in other words, America, the Brits, the French, whoever's involved in fighting in that theater and engaging ISIS, engaging, different terrorists, Iran, whatever, they're being harassed and stalked and threatened by massive amounts of UAPs. And they're not allowed to do anything about it. They're being frustrated by their bosses in the Pentagon. What does it say? Lack of authority to deal with intrusions. They don't have the authority. They're not given the permission by the commanders in the Pentagon to engage and to protect their people. So there is a rift exploding open now. That the secrecy is not going to last. It's come to the point where regular military people are not only seeing the facts, but are being basically the commanders in the Pentagon are taking the side of the intruders instead of them. That's a problem. Right? That's a major problem. Okay. Just as a two final things here. It's not just CENTCOM in the United States and allies fighting ISIS or whatever. The Russians have engaged and apparently are still doing so periodically. But there is a claim that as of 1990s, Russian warplanes have chased and shot at 45 UAPs. So, and by the way, apparently never hitting hardly any of them or none of them. As far as the story goes, only 3 were even close to successful. In 2 of the cases, the Russian jets were destroyed and the pilots are killed. And in 1, the pilot survived, but he was, the plane was unusable. It's not just us who don't know what's going on. The Russians don't know what's going on. The Chinese don't know what's going on. We have their own programs, and I'm sure in the back there. When we do get a hold of some of this stuff to figure out what makes it tick, to figure out what it is, who it is. Last thing. I'm going to quote something that's not really verifiable. Okay, I hate to do this, but take it for what it's worth. This individual claims to be in the know. Take it for what it is. His quote is this, and now it's backed up partially by evidence that I've seen. Israel is working on deploying the Iron Beam. Do you know what that is? Hold on a second. The Iron Beam is something that they've been testing the last couple of years, and they started to use it with the Hamas war the last month. But then they stopped. I know that's true. The Iron Beam is a laser system. If you've ever seen it tested, they're actually shooting, instead of other missiles at missiles or rockets at rockets to get them while they're in the air. You've seen lots of videos of that, right? That's, Hamas or whomever, Hezbollah, whatever, is shooting rockets into Israel, and they send their own rockets up to intercept them, right? That's really kind of tricky, very expensive. It doesn't always work. So they developed this laser system to shoot down enemy fire, and it works great. It's awesome. I mean, it's awesome. It's like sci-fi stuff. And it works. So Israel began to use it. As far as I know, I saw it used once, and apparently it was used twice, and then it stopped. Why? That's weird. Here's apparently the reason from somebody who says they know. Israel is working on deploying the Iron Beam, and that has triggered a big swarm of UAPs in Israel. They used it twice, this person says, meaning they used the Iron Beam twice. Each time it elicited the response in the air and on the ground. These things were all over the place and didn't seem thrilled. They haven't used it since. Okay? And that's part of a story that I'm not going to get into because I just won't right now. Point is, now that's the update, okay? That's the whole issue of the military shooting down UFOs is real, and it's not being allowed basically right now. But at least by our government. Why? Because we can't defeat it, I think, is the short answer. We can't stop them. The assertion that I think is being disproven very solidly is that this is secret American stuff or secret Chinese stuff. It's not to say we're not trying. It's not to say maybe we haven't set something up at some point and, to test. But to see what these things are doing in the air with impunity, and to put your own people in danger all over the world makes no sense. Other than that, it's not logical. But even what the technology is, everyone who's ever asked about it says we don't know what it is. Right? We don't know how it works. We don't know how it can do that. We can't make stuff that does that. We're not talking about an aircraft that flies really fast. We have those. We're talking about ones that go 10 times faster than us and can make right angle turns and go into the ocean and pop out of the ocean and go into space and then disappear and reappear. That's not stuff we have. We wish we did. That's why we're trying to engineer it, reverse engineer the stuff. We would love to have it. Those are just the facts. And we would certainly not be shooting at anything if it was our own stuff. Okay. Any other questions that I missed or things? Yeah, I got a couple. Hey, Lawrence, I see you, brother. Hang on a second. Tiki. Oh, wait, Bond Servant beat you here. The last week or so, I've seen some video compilations showing UAPs from the ISS. That's the International Space Station. Yeah, they're definitely up there. I mean, I've seen some of that. Tiki says, I think the orbs are the real deal. Maybe interdimensional, but a lot of what's being pumped out is by government intel officials via the New York Times, News Nation, willing PSYOP operatives for a purpose. That's certainly an opinion, brother. I don't share that. I mean, it's you try to hopefully have discernment on this. But the cat's coming out of the bag, I think, is what you're seeing. And yeah, there's certainly desire to spin it, any way that they can. But yeah, there you go, News Nation. Thank you. Setting up for possible Project Bluebeam scenario. In Blue Book, you mean? We're about to go bankrupt. They need a reason to print and spend and keep the economy going. Dude, look, we don't need this for that. We've been bankrupt for decades. We just keep printing anyway. We don't need UFOs for that. We don't need anything for that. Before being a chainsaw carver, and an excellent one, Tiki says, I worked in law enforcement. It was also a flight instructor. There you go. Look at the skill set on this guy. DARPA and spook agencies have developed tech that's decades ahead of what we would consider possible. Here's the thing, though, Tiki. Well, I mean, you said the orbs might be the real deal, but the point is, the government has been seeing the same things for, what year is it? 80 years now. 80 plus years. We didn't have any kind of tech. We didn't have tech, period, other than, propeller planes when we first started seeing them. Like the Foo Fighters. I mean, it goes way back, man. Way back before we had any tech. Mokul says the Five Eyes are all the countries belonging to the Anglosphere. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. They're out there to counter China. Could be. They are saying there are UAP sightings in the Middle East. Very interesting. Yeah. Yep. Look, to Mokul, he says UAPs look like snails. It's intriguing to when you can capture them. I mean, on film, or video, whatever, even stills. Just the morphology is different depending on how you're looking at it. They look different based on your perspective, and that's actually something that's biblical. They were up. You're talking about the one the Omaha off of San Diego, gauge reaction, stealth response times, but there's more than this, Tiki. There was off of Japan. There's an example of the carrier swarm off the East Coast. We just can't assign it to our people pulling a fast one on our best stuff. Who are they? You know what I mean? Hey, Nue or Nay, all talk, never real-time footage. What are you talking about, bro? Have you not seen the Tic Tac or the gimbal? Come on, man. Get with the program. It's not all talk. Lawrence, there he is. Hey, Lawrence. Why do they hide it at all? I know the position, the public can't handle it. What's the real reason? Does everything unravel after because all the lies will be revealed? Dimensions, LOL. Yeah, we were talking about that last night. That's why Lawrence is laughing. Let's just say, folks who claim to know, and take this with a whole bunch of grains. People who say they know say they are not. Again, the claim is they're not interdimensional beings, but they use interdimensional travel because as they put it, as this one guy put it, the pathways are already established. Anyway, what's the real reason for hiding it? We actually I did an episode in August, I think. It's called "Why the Secrecy." And that's where I get into the SAPs, the special access programs, the unacknowledged special access programs, the waived unacknowledged special access programs, how they originally back in the 40s tried to use the Department of Energy language to just automatically classify everything because they were freaking out. Like, to your point, yes, we can't handle the truth. We can't handle it. And these SAPs and USAPs and WUSAPs, it sounds like fiction. I mean, it sounds like a spy novel or something, or paranoia. But it's absolutely 1000% a fact. It's crazy. Special access programs. The founders would be rolling in their graves if they knew what our military's turned into. And not just military, intelligence, community, all these alphabet soup organizations, and everyone wants to cover their butts. And they don't want to seem stupid, and they don't want to see to be lying, and whatever. All that plays into it. Human psychology, all of it plays into it. Again, there's that. But depending on who you're listening to and who the claims of people who are claiming to know, who have worked in it, they say they have been a part of it, or I know. There's a worry. What they call the NHI, non-human intelligence, behind these things. They say they really don't know what's happening. It's kind of like you assume the government knows everything, but the scary truth is they don't. And that there is, some type of the intelligence behind these things is calling the shots. We're not. So that's the claim. And so until they decide to do something, I think the decision is we're not going to say anything. And we're going to keep it as secret as possible. But I think a good point to consider is our personal technology is getting so advanced where a citizen can spend a couple dollars, $200 or $1,000, but can get amazing technology to actually catch these things doing what they do. And you can't hide from that. Okay, Mo, cool. To the point of why are we doing this? Why do Christians need to care? Well, boy, how can we not? It's the world-changing stuff, right? I think UAPs are principalities who reside in the second heaven. Correct me if I'm wrong. Well, I can't correct you. I don't know that that's true or not. How many are there? Like, we definitely would have to get some more clarification on that. Cool. I don't know. When we say principalities, you're talking about a specific form of life. Oh, yeah, a specific kind of creation from God. That has a geographic assignment. Hence the term, right? Principality, like if you live in a city, you're in the principality of so and so, New York. Right? It's a geographic marker. So these principalities were assigned to nations, basically after Genesis 10. It says God divided the nations and basically set up a principality over those nations. So if that's true, and I know Michael Heiser taught on this, and others have taught on this. This is all scripture stuff. It's possible there are only 70 principalities that exist, and so if you have 70 principalities and 100 appearing at once, that doesn't make sense. That doesn't mean I'm not trying to correct you. I don't know, but it seems to be different than that. Bond Servant says, I've read stuff that they show up around active volcanoes too. A little. I mean, I've read a little bit about that. I guess I'm just not interested in that angle. I don't know. I'm very interested in the military angle. How they're around our nuclear silos for decades now, and Russia's. And now the Middle East. Yeah, to me, that's more interesting, but you could be right. When UFO UAP sightings were first seen 80 plus years ago, well, you would call it the modern era of this. Were seen 80 plus years ago. Franklin Roosevelt was the U.S. president. This is around the first years of World War II. Yes, that's when there was a high interest in them because they were very interested in our Trinity test site, for example. So there was something about the division of the atom or that explosive potential or whatever that brought them out. And so again, we had no technology to have them made back then. Apparently, now again, it's possible, like we tried and just failed spectacularly. That could be what happened in Roswell, for example. Like, yeah, it was a secret program, but it wasn't a balloon either. It's because we already got some of this stuff and we're trying to recreate it, but we can't. So they crash. I think the UAPs are principalities or fallen angels that could play a role in the biblical prophetic Middle East during the Akarit Hamaim or end times. They could. Yes, they could. Very well could. And here's a scenario, guys. As a Christian, as a person who loves the Word of God, and who loves God, and who wants to get the Scripture straight on the prophetic things and the end times and all that. A scenario is whatever this intelligence is, whether it's fallen angels or whatever, they could, apparently, from what we're seeing, it seems that they have the motivation and the ability to harness or restrict massive weaponry. Like they have the ability to stop things from happening, make it known that we are not they don't like us using that stuff, like the laser system or nuclear bombs for whatever reason. And by on the other side of that coin is if and when they decided to, let's say, give some of us a super weapon or an unstoppable weapon, they can. I don't know, again, why. To teach us a lesson, to let them know they're in control. I don't know. But it's possible. Now, if we're talking in that angle, from that possibility, that now this great sword that Iran has or is given might make a lot more sense in that context. Maybe even, again, just speaking technologically or how this stuff works, how you can appear invisible or traverse, dimensionality travel and all that stuff, maybe that has something to do with in the final 3.5 years how Israel is protected. No matter what comes at them, they're protected in this place in Jordan and Saudi Arabia. Maybe this technology has something to do with that. Bond servant says, now many claim to see huge triangles in the skies. Yes, that has happened as well. When I look into it, I see clouds for space between clouds. Am I just seeing them even on video? I'm so conflicted. Something's going on. Well, something is going on. You'll like the link info. Okay. U.S. CENTCOM has been played by UAPs in part of the Middle East and North Africa and Egypt. These are biblically prophetic regions. Yeah, no doubt about it. Yep, that's why we got to pay attention for sure. Anthony, hello, Anthony. I think as the major powers are inching closer and closer to war, there is no choice any longer but to break out technology that has been under wraps for a long time. Tell me more. What do you mean? Break out technology from where? Who has this technology and what is it? And where did it come from? Honest questions. See reports of triangles even on videos. I do not see them. I'm conflicted. Yeah, I don't know about that at all. Something is going on for sure. Jeff says Davidson speculates. This is our friend Mark Davidson speculates. I think Persia's great sword is the bomb. If this is right, then of course the red horse of Daniel 8 ram invasion and the white horse, either Saddam or some way the Shia Mahdi. Now that could still be true, but as I was talking about Monday night, I don't know if you heard it then, Jeff, because we're going over Zechariah, and of course we've got a red horse there and a black horse and things that are happening in geographic areas, the North Country, etc., the East Country, yada yada. Having a bomb is not that big of a deal, right? What one nuclear weapon? Honestly, Pakistan is way more than that. Israel has way more than that. If you're talking about building a bomb, it better be a big one. It better be the biggest one like the Russian versions of stuff. But there's no evidence that they're building anything like that. They don't have the tech. That I don't think they don't have the facilities. Where do you build it? You'd be seen. And again, like frankly, if you're talking about Hiroshima style nuclear bomb, that's bad and big, but it's nothing anymore. Things we have dwarf that. And if they have one bomb and they drop one bomb, that's not gonna let them roll out over the Middle East, and they'd be toast. They'd be toast instantly. So something else is going on there. I'm becoming convinced. If end time Persia is given, this is what I was talking about, is given a great devastating sword, and that is what it says. Well, Zechariah, Revelation and Daniel are very much agreed on this. It's a devastating weapon that no one can fight. It's given a great devastating sword. Does that mean that end times Yavon also has similar tech because they crush and destroy end times Persia? Again, if we're speculating, you could see, a scenario where somehow, some way, whether it's non-human intelligence or whatever, gives Iran some great massive weapon, and then they decide, hey, you've had your turn, now we're going to give it to your Turkish friends. Or we say, okay, well, now we see how it works. We're going to build one. We're going to build it ourselves. Or now we see that, we've got the secret sauce. Now we can develop something too. You could see that. Bond servant's talking to Jeff. If you don't mind if I get in on your convo here, do you? Jeff, if they shot off a nuke, it would poison everything. I don't see that. Oh, like the land itself. Yeah, like what they're trying to conquer would actually poison the ground and make it uninhabitable, stuff like that. Yeah, that's a good point. Anchor Down says, heck, what if they could be good angelic beings, keeping watch in all things in our conflicts. Exactly. I mean, that's a good what if to ask. I think, Anchor, and I think not enough of us are thinking that way. It could be that. Check out Ryan Aircraft TR3. Okay, are these like super aircraft and stuff? Okay. Seems to me the great sword implies power and strength, not necessarily the bomb. Well, it's some kind of bad thing that doesn't allow anyone to fight back. It says they do whatever they want. They roll over it. It says great slaughter of one another. Daniel says butcher everyone. Who's at my door? I may have to cut this episode short here. That's just the mailman. Anyways, yeah, I hear you. It's definitely power is the result for sure, but the weapons definitely seems to be part of it. Could a Shia Mahdi claimant have demonically inspired intelligence and military acumen? Yep. Yeah, sure. Why not? Yeah, why not? So the UAPs in the Middle East all over or concentrate in the Syria area? Well, they say CENTCOM. So CENTCOM is the whole region. It is concerning that apparently this iron beam thing set them off somehow in Israel. So the thing in Syria was just an engagement that got too close for comfort for the British Air Force. And we know that they shot at it. That's all we really know about the Syria thing. But apparently it's all over. So wherever the coalition troops, concentrations are, which is a lot in Syria because of ISIS, they're in Iraq, and assorted other countries that we can't mention because we're probably not supposed to be in those other places. But Iraq and Syria for sure, and now Israel for sure. I was thinking Mount Hermon if we are looking at supernatural origins. Well, yeah, that's again we're talking about if we take a lot of things into consideration, Mount Hermon was the location that the original fallen angels, Genesis 6 and the Book of Enoch say, that's where they showed up and came down to Earth. Is there something about Mount Hermon? Is it in one of these pathways? Is it some kind of door or gate between dimensions? And of course, if you don't know where that is, it's right on the corner of northeast Israel, Syria, and Lebanon, where they all come together there by the Golan. Right at that point where they all meet is Mount Hermon. By the way, Musk is attempting Tiki says, by the way, Musk is attempting to launch his giant space ark in the morning. Wouldn't there be the days of Noah without a giant space ark? I don't. Yeah, that's funny. I don't know. Has he called it that? Is that really the name? That's wild. Mo Cool says UAPs don't like Israel and USA top military tech. Interesting. Any thoughts? Well, I don't know. They don't like Russia's either. Again, if you read the literature on this going back decades, I'm in the middle of a book that's called UFOs and Nukes, and it's not crazy like it sounds. It's actually just documented from like missile technicians and different things over since the 60s and 70s. That the harassment and more of nuclear sites, missile silos, turning on, turning off, cutting right through all our safeguards. It's a big reason why, to me, it's very convincing. This is a great evidence that what we're dealing with here is not American stuff. You do not go the nuclear codes, right? The football. This is the top of the top. You don't get any higher classification than this stuff. You can't mess with that, right? Somebody does something wrong. The chain of command is broken. Somebody does something, without proper authorization 10 times over, you get a nuclear weapon flying into another country and we have millions of dead humans, and who knows what. So that can't happen, right? That's like the highest level. The fact that if another type of intelligence with a technology that can, whenever they feel like, back in the 60s and 70s, not today, but 40 and 50 years ago, can show up to a nuclear silo where the weapon is sitting, ready to go. The Minuteman missiles, right? They can fly across continents and strike Moscow in 30 minutes or whatever. They can show up and turn them off so they can't launch, or turn them on when they're off and say, you're going to launch now, just to flex and to say we can do this, whatever we are. Say we're above your top secret stuff. We're way above what you can do. That's a pretty convincing piece of evidence to me that it's not us. And it's not some other country. Elon Musk, again, Tiki says, this is the same guy, Elon, that has a worldwide satellite internet. Yeah. Wants to put a chip in your head and does satellite launches for Turkey, for Erdogan in Turkey. Yeah, Elon is not a great person. He's got major issues. Starship is the name. Okay. He wants to ascend to heaven, a great name for himself. I think you're reading a little too much into that, Tiki. My opinion. He's not a great guy, certainly not, but it's not making him the Antichrist. Thinking the SpaceX, the links in space and all that stuff. Well, links in space, I mean, this is satellite technology. This has been going, we've had this for decades. All this UAP stuff. So it predates Elon Musk for sure. Wondered at the sixth seal, the stars falling, could all this be thrown down? Like all the junk up there, like all the satellites and stuff? Maybe. Anthony says, what I mean is what the public is allowed to know is a whole different world from what is known as reality by those with clearance. That may be true. If we are shooting at them, they're not ours. Usually. I hear you. Like, it just doesn't pass the smell test to say we would shoot at stuff that is not only ours, but took decades to make, and cost God knows how much money. Like, if you're talking about I don't know, even a carrier group, right? We're talking about earlier, an aircraft carrier with attending warships and all the airplanes and all the radar technology and all the stuff. You know how many billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars to go into one aircraft carrier? You don't mess with that. We need those guys, right? We need them. This is what our whole defense postures is based on, our superiority of the seas. That we have unassailable borders. You can't invade the United States ever, because we have oceans on both sides. We have friendly neighbors to the north and south. We can go anywhere in the world and fight you. So you're never coming here. That's our defense posture. That's how we keep our people safe. But there's one thing that comes right over our skies and goes right to our military bases and right to our nuclear stuff, and that's UAPs or UFOs. They do it because they can. And not only ours, guys. Again, I just want to stress this. This is not like us testing ourselves. They're harassing other countries. They're going to other places. It's just a mistake. I think it's just a real big mistake to assume that this is just American stuff. It's kind of arrogant, actually. This is all part of why we're in this mess. It's because of American arrogance. We think we're the best all the time. And if we have something super duper good, it must be ours. Pretty quiet over NORAD here as of late. That's where Bond Servant lives, right near NORAD. Unless the guy who posted from Southern Colorado was here to report otherwise. Right. No, I mean, you're an eyewitness. You can tell us what's going on there. Just his tech provider. Oh, is the Antichrist? Yeah, right. Again, like, we're having, look, you're watching a podcast right now, wherever you are around the world, instant, real time, using very cheap technology. God can use it. Don't assign. Look, I have an online church, right? A digital ministry. I am not ever, and you should not cede technology to the devil. Just because it's technology doesn't mean he owns it. Just because it's really cool stuff doesn't mean it's evil. In fact, it means the opposite. It means God made it, and the church can use it. He made it for our benefit. He made it for the kingdom of God. We Christians have made so many errors over this latest, development of technology. All of a sudden, it's the devil's tool. Why? It's stupid to think that way. Honestly, God made it for us. You can let the devil use it. That's your fault. Are UAPs harassing military tech prowess of Islamic nations or Middle Eastern nations? Interesting. Well, they are. Apparently. They're not nearly as advanced as America and Russia as far as blowing things up, in China, as far as destroying massive amounts of people and property. They're definitely behind the curve, but this Iron Beam thing is advanced. And maybe that's why they care about it. I don't know. Anyway, folks, I think I've had enough here. You've probably had enough. So just to summarize, yes, the military in American military, Russian military, British military have all shot at and possibly brought down UAPs or UFOs in the past and the recent past. That's number one. We know about what just happened in February over Canada and over the northern United States. 3 different things that we never heard nothing more about. I would say stay tuned for that. We've got Syria with UFOs engaging. We've got Israel with UFOs, UAPs engaging. Swarm incidents where it's as if one wasn't enough. You get a whole swarm, dozens, up to 100 in one place. at one time around the most powerful expression of war fighting the world has ever known, which is U.S. carrier groups and nuclear sites. That's on purpose. That's purposeful. Now, I don't know the intent beyond that, but it's a national security issue, according to people in the military themselves. They're sick and tired of the generals in the Pentagon saying it's no big deal. Don't report this. We've got it covered. Don't fight back. Don't defend yourselves. They're done with that. They are done. I would hope that this would mean many more are going to come forward and say that they're done with it. And again, CENTCOM has been dealing with this. That means Middle Eastern countries have been dealing with UAPs that we've known about. The military of the United States has known about for 15 years plus. 15 years. This is ever since what? Saddam Hussein fell, at least. There have been UAPs going on in the Middle Eastern countries. It's not just America. It's right. It's not just Europe. And it's not something that we're okay with. That's the point of today. I hope it got y'all thinking. And again, if this has taught you anything, if this has helped you understand, hopefully, God's plan and God's love for you and his word and his prophetic future. Awesome. Please support Wings of the Eagle. Just go to donate, please. Give what you can. Oh, we got one more. All right, bondservant, only because I love you. She says, any news of a new congressional hearing on this? So there was supposed to be a SCIF, a secure compartment or whatever, a secure environment where Mr. David Grush, the big whistleblower from July, was finally going to be allowed to spill his guts to the Congress about all that he knows. And that was scheduled for today. Yesterday it was canceled by the Republican House leadership. That's all we know. December 7th, I'm hearing, is a possible new date for that SCIF meeting to happen. We'll see. They don't have control of the people who want to know the truth about this in the Congress, in the House anyway, don't have the power. Senate, they do. If it ever gets to the Senate level, there could be real movement. But honestly, before that, they've got to get this NDAA passed, National Defense Authorization Act. They have to do it before the end of the year. So in December, they got to vote on it in December. Will it include this, what they call the Schumer Amendment about disclosure, about actually putting penalties and making everyone tell what they know about UAPs and NHIs and all that stuff and recovered craft and bodies? All that stuff is in the legislation right now. And to private companies, eminent domain. It says the United States will exercise eminent domain over any technology that is not earthly or not in our acknowledged whatever sphere. Anything that was recovered now belongs to the United States, the people of the United States, not a private company. And that's where a lot of this stuff apparently allegedly is being stored, which is in private aerospace companies, a few of them. And so that legislation would blow the lid off of all that stuff. Maybe. We'll see. All right. So I guess 2024 is going to be the time we're looking at for potential movement on all this, but who knows? Just stay in the Word of God, stay in fellowship with him and fellowship with your fellow Christians on this, especially those of us who are, I hate to use the word open-minded, but just open-minded enough to consider what this could mean and to not automatically assign it to fallen angels or evil. It might be, but it might not. Just to be in that zone right now, to say, Father, teach me, show me, have me look. What can we use as the church? How should we be witnessing, right? whatever technology or whatever else comes out of this, can we use it? We should be asking that instead of being, afraid or reflexive, to not be afraid. Amen. All right, guys. Till next time, Pastor Christopher Manti is me for the Unsealed podcast, the official podcast of Wings of the Eagle. Lord willing, we'll be back here soon. Maybe next week. We'll see what happens in the world. Of course, we always reserve the right to come on before that. But we love you all so very much. Thanks for the awesome questions, the awesome participation. I don't believe I missed anyone. Nope, just a little tinfoil hat icon there. We're good. All right, friends. Till next time. This is Unsealed.
To hear previous episodes, to obtain resources, and to support this ministry, visit unsealedpodcast.com.
Because of the increase of wickedness, the love of most will grow cold. But he who stands firm to the end will be saved.